Amaska. Ek onka sad go prasa sad go prasad ek onka. Ek onka sad go prasa sad go prasad ek onka. Ek onka sad go prasa sad go prasad ek onka. Ek onka sad go prasa sad go prasad ek onka. Ek onka sad go prasa sad go prasad ek onka. You are welcome back again. This is Guru Kennedy Otupere. I'm happy to be with you once again. Today, I'll be continuing from where I stopped the other time. Today, I'm going to be taking some readings, a sure way to make enemies and how to avoid it. I think I'll tag this one part 2. You see, the Kriya Yoga part is all about meditation, affirmation, readings, and chanting, which is chanting of mantras, and so on and so on. You see, this Kriya Yoga part, actually, I told you the other time that it's not a religion. It's not a result, it's a spiritual part. So whatever we are bringing out from this place, I think is to make one better, to live a better life, So today I'll be continuing from where I stopped last time. A sure way of making enemies and how to avoid it. Today I'll be continuing from we sometimes find ourselves changing our minds without any resistance or heavy emotions. But if we are told we are wrong, we resent the imputations and harden our hearts. We are incredibly heedless in the formation of our beliefs, but find ourselves filled with all illicit passion for them. When anyone proposes to rob us of our companionship, it is obviously not the ideas themselves that are dear to us, but our self-esteem, which is threatened. The little words, mine is the most important one in human affairs, and properly to reckon with. It is the beginning of wisdom. It has the same force, whether it is my dinner, my dog, and my house, or my father, my country, and my God. We not only resent the imputation that our watch is wrong or our car shady, but that our conception of the canons of mass, of the pronunciation of Epicletus, of the medicinal value of salicin, or of the date of Sargon, is subject to revision. We like to continue to believe what we have been accustomed to, accept as true, and the resentment arose when doubt is cast upon any of our assumptions. It leads us to seek every manner of excuse for clinching to it. The result is that most of our so-called reasoning consists in finding arguments for going on believing as we already do. Carl Rogers, the eminent psychologist, wrote in his book on becoming a person, I have found it of enormous value when I can permit myself to understand the other person. The way in which I have worded this statement may seem strange to you. Is it necessary to permit oneself to understand another? I think it is. Our first reaction to most of the statements which we hear from other people is an evaluation or judgment rather than an understanding of it. When someone expresses some feelings, attitude, or belief, our tendency is almost immediately to feel that's right, or that is stupid, that is abnormal, that is unreasonable. That is incorrect, that is not true, that is not nice. Very rarely do we permit ourselves to understand precisely what the meaning of the statement is to the other person. I once employed an interior decorator to make some draperies for my home. When the bill arrived, I was dismayed. A few days later, a friend dropped in and looked at the draperies. The price was measured, and she exclaimed, "What a note of triumph! What? That is awful. I am afraid he put one over on you." True, yes, she had told the truth. But few people like to listen to truths that reflect on their judgment. So, being human, I tried to defend myself. I pointed out that the best is eventually the cheapest. The one can't expect to get quality and artistic taste at bargain basement price, and so on and on. The next day, another friend dropped in, admired the draperies, bubbled over with enthusiasm, and expressed a wish that she could afford such exquisite creature for her home. My reaction was totally different. Well, to tell the truth, I said, "I can't afford them myself. I pay too much. I'm sorry. I ordered them." When we are wrong, we may admit it to ourselves. And if we are handled gently and tactfully, we may admit it to others and even take pride in our frankness and broad mindedness, but not if someone else is trying to run the unpalatable fact down our esophagus. Harrance Gracely, the most famous actor in America during the time of the Civil War, disagreed violently with Lincoln's policies. He believed that he could drive Lincoln into agreeing with him by a campaign of argument, ridicule, and abuse. He waged this bitter campaign month after month, year after year. In fact, he wrote a brutal, bitter, sarcastic, and personal attack on President Lincoln the night Booth shot him. But did all this bitterness make Lincoln agree with Greeley? Not at all. Ridicule and abuse never do. If you want some excellent suggestion about dealing with people and managing yourself and improving your personality, read Benjamin Franklin's autobiography, one of the most fascinating life story ever written, one of the classics of American literature. Ben Franklin tells how he conquered the iniquitous habit of argument and transformed himself into one of the most able, sage, and diplomatic man in American history. One day, when Ben Franklin was a voluntary youth, an old Quaker friend took him outside, and lashed him with a few stinging truths, something like this: "Ben, you are impossible. Your opinions have a slap in them for everyone who differs with you. They have become so offensive that nobody cares for them. Your friends find they enjoy themselves better when you are not around. You have no you have so much chat. No man can tell you anything. Indeed, no man is going to try, for the effort will lead only to discomfort and hard work. So you are not likely ever to know any more than you do now, which is very little." One of the finest thing I know about Ben Franklin is the way he accepted that smarting rebuke. He was big enough and wise enough to realize that it was true, to sense that he was handed for failure and social disaster. So he made a right about face. He began immediately to change his insolent, opinionated ways. "I made it a rule," said Franklin, "to forbear all direct contradictions to the sentiment of others and all positive assertion of my own. I even forbade myself the use of every word or expression in the language that imported a fixed-deemed opinion such as certainly, undoubtedly, etc., and I adopted instead of them. I convinced and apprehend, or I imagine a thing to be so and so or so, or it so appears to me as at present. When another asserted something that I thought an error, I denied in myself the pleasure of contradicting him abruptly and of showing immediately some absolute absurdity in his proposition. And in answering, I began by observing that in certain case or circumstance his opinion would be right, but in the present case there deemed or seems deemed me some difference, etc. I soon find the advantage of this change in my manner. The conversation I engaged in went on more pleasantly. The modest way in which I proposed in my opinions procured in them a reader's reception and less contradiction. I had less modification when I was found to be in the wrong, and I more easily prevailed in with others to go up their mistakes and join with them even when I happen to be in the right. And, and this mode, which at first put on with some violence to natural inclination, became at length so easy and so habitual to me that perhaps for these 50 years past, no one has ever heard a dogmatical expression escape me. And to this habit, after my character of integrity, I think it principally owing that I had earned so much weight with my fellow citizens when I proposed new institution or alteration in the old, and so much influence in public council when I became a member, for I was but a bad speaker, never eloquent, subject to much hesitation in my choice of words, hardly correct in language, and yet I generally carried my opinions. How do Ben Franklin's method work in business? Let's take two examples. I'll be stopping there today. Next time we're going to continue from there. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to my YouTube channel and you're going to be blessed. If you have any challenges, just put the comment there. I don't want to know the challenge that you are facing. I can actually add my faith to yours and make things happen. Actually, I do not believe in faith, but for your sake, I had to use that language. Just subscribe to my YouTube channel and you see good things happening. I'm not asking you for any dime. Just write, Guru, your name. Guru, I'm having challenge. I'm going to pray for you, and after some time, you are still going to tell me what happened with that. God Christ Guru. Om, 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 peace. Amen.